So recently I've been in deep thought about my language learning study strategy because it seems like I have not been advancing as much as I wanted to. And that's why in my previous video I was talking about some different things that I would change if I could restart 2022. And that's what provoked another question. What exactly is the best learning style for me? Hola, bienvenidos nuevamente a todos a mi canal Spanish Blueprints. My name is Joshua, and in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 4 different types of language learners. So apparently this topic in the language learning world and in the educational space is extremely controversial because all the different researchers and educators within this space are trying to figure out what is the most optimal method of studying something and retaining it. But in this video, we're just going to keep it simple to 4 different language learning types. And these are visual, auditory, verbal, and kinesthetic learners. And I found these in an article that I thought really explained these very well, and I could actually connect with them. And you can find the link to this article in the description box below. If you have already analyzed this a lot and you know exactly what type of language learner that you are, please let me know in the comment section below. A big goal of mine in this video is that you don't try and figure out which box that you have to fit in or that you have to only learn one method for your whole language learning journey. So for the visual learner, just listening to a podcast for 20 or 30 minutes of a particular lesson, let's say coffee break French or coffee break Spanish, would not be enough. What they need is a particular visual to accompany that audio so they can see exactly what that person was talking about. In this case, watching a lesson on YouTube would be more effective because they would be able to retain more information by actually watching a particular grammar rule being explained versus just listening to it. The tip from the article is that you try to mimic that person who is speaking your target language as much as possible, and that you're really focusing on their mannerisms and on their expressions. The next language learning type is the auditory learner. So this one is fairly opposite from the visual learner in the sense that they can actually retain a lot of information and learn a lot simply by listening maybe to a podcast or listening to music without having to have too many visuals right in front of them. In this case, this type of learner will not have to watch a YouTube video so they can get all the visual aids to help them learn and comprehend what they're watching and listening to. They can just stick with that Coffee Break French podcast and be able to comprehend them and comprehend all the different grammar rules that is being explained in that particular lesson. So some of the tips for this learner is that they actually start having more one-on-one conversations with native speakers so they can be able to listen to them and not just read a particular conversation on paper. And then ask that native speaker a lot of questions and then just listen very well. And also, of course, just listening to a lot of podcasts and listening to music as well. Now on to the verbal learner. So the verbal learner is actually very similar to the visual learner in the sense that they're able to comprehend and retain information just by looking at physical text. But the biggest difference for the verbal language learner is that they actually like to see the particular lesson being taught, and then they're also going to write it down at the same time. And then that's going to help them retain the information more. But also there's a lot of repetition involved as well. For example, one of the tips is that you write down the vocabulary words that you have on flashcards, and then you're going to repeat them out loud. Also do the same thing with sticky notes, and that's something I can definitely relate to. Another tip is that you actually film or record yourself when you're taking a particular lesson with a teacher or a tutor like on italki, or if you're in a group class. And then you would take that video and then you would just put that on repeat and figure out what are the different areas that you can improve in. And finally, we have the kinesthetic language learner. So this type of learner loves to travel and put themselves in different situations where they're able to have an interaction with a native speaker that speaks their target language. So they're just imagining basically at every moment if they were in a coffee shop in France and they're speaking French with a native speaker about their day and about their life experiences, or they're going out to different restaurants and they're having different conversations about food with a native speaker, and they're trying to practice ordering food as well. So always pushing themselves to have as many interactions as possible with the language wherever they are. Now that you know a little bit about the 4 different language learning types, you can do a little bit of self-reflection and try to figure out if one of those different types really describe you. And if it doesn't, what would describe your learning style? Then go a little bit deeper during this reflection process and try to rank these 4 different language learning types by order of effectiveness so you can see what is actually working for you the best. So again, the 4 different types of language learners that I discussed in this video are the visual learner, the auditory learner, the verbal learner, and the kinesthetic learner. All right, that's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video and you found value in it, please give it a thumbs up and share with all of your language learning friends. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can be updated for my future videos. I'll see you next time.